Hi, my name is Vishal. In this video, let's have a look on modeling this fire hydrant model. I'll be sharing this image link in the description. So we will just model this. This model has a bit of challenges. That is, it is a cylinder, vertical cylinder, and got some cylinders extruding out, and that makes this model a little bit complicated. So I could say this model is a mid-level complex model. So if you are not in a good planning, then you might face problems in getting the result with the existing tools in Blender. So what I need to do is so I need to think the complex areas, so figure out that area, and then the easier models can be later easily done. So keeping that in mind, so I have done couple of trials, and then I figured out a decent way. So let's start with this model. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a cylinder in the Blender. So Shift A will give me a menu. Go to the mesh and then choose cylinder there. So this cylinder has got subdivisions. You can just check that subdivisions, which is 32. And you can change that subdivisions to 8. Okay, so you have the vertices which is in the axis. We don't have any axis subdivisions in so height subdivisions in the setting. Maybe I can even try with the 12 number. This should also work, so I'll go with the 12 maybe. So once that is done, I select the model, press tab to go to the edit mode, and then if you press 1, you will be selecting the vertices. If you press 2, you will be selecting the edges. 3, you will be selecting the faces. So I go to the edge mode by pressing 2, select all the edges, go to the edge menu here, and then choose divide, and then just divide it. That should be fair enough. So I've got some big faces here, which is the idea, but I could see I've not selected the edges on the other side. So I'll just undo it and press Shift Z to switch into wireframe. Select all edges now, come back by pressing Shift Z. Okay, and then go to the edge component and then choose subdivide, and then add 3 subdivisions here. So you got a low poly count cylinder here. So I'm going to select this model in the front view. So I pressed 1 on the keyboard so that I could come to the front orthographic view. Then press 3 to go to the subdivisions. So I'm selecting these 4 faces here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click there and then go to loop tools and then choose circle. Okay, so you got the circle, which is actually deforming the whole cylinder. So we have this option called flatten. Switch it off, and then it will preserve that cylindrical shape there, and good to go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press E on the keyboard. Okay, E, and then press Y and then drag it. Okay, that should give me a cylinder. So what I have tried here is just achieve that cylinder there. Okay, so I'm going to select this faces. Okay, and I just wanted it to be straight, so I'm going to use the scale tool here and then just drag it like that, and then that becomes straight. So I've got a nice cylinder there extruded from this. So once that is done, I press 2 on the keyboard to go to the edge component, hold Alt and click on one of the edge. So it is selected only the corrected loop. So this is again not in a loop, so Shift Alt for the second loop, Shift Alt, Shift Alt. Once I've got that, I press Ctrl B for the bevel tool and then just drag it, and then add sub segments of 2 there, and that should be fair enough. Now once that is done, I'm going to select the faces. Okay, press E on the keyboard, then use the scale tool and then just scale it. Okay, then press E and drag it. So that's how we get this nice shape here. Once that is done, I'm going to select that faces and press Shift to D and then press Y and then just slightly move it. So what I've done is I've selected the faces, I've duplicated them, then I'm going to select that faces, press E and then drag it further. So I'm going to select the faces there, and I'm going to use the move tool just enough to match the reference. Once that is done, I'm going to select the edge component. Okay, select all the edges, press delete. So you have this options called dissolve edges, so use that dissolve edges there. Once that is done, select the face component, then you have this tool called poke face, and then you get that star points in the center. And why star point is required here? Because we got some designs there. Okay, or maybe I can add the loop or something like that. So if you are I could see there is a detail, so poke faces will create a problem. So I'm going to use E and then S, then create that scale tool. Okay, this should be this circle here, then press E and grab it, then ES, and you got this face in the center. I'm going to press M to merge, and then you got how you want to merge them. I say I want to merge at the center, and you got this detail. Now if you see this model, okay, though it has been duplicated, it's in the same one piece. So I press tab and then add loops here. So there's a tool called loop cut. I'm going to use that. Okay, control R, click and drag to get that nice loops. Press control R, click and grab that lines. I'm adding loops to preserve that creases. Okay, now I just select this model. Okay, switch off the wireframe and then go to the modifiers and add this subdivision surface and then put a subdivisions of 2, and then you should see this nice detail there. Okay, so yeah, I will switch this value to 0, press tab 1 and select all the vertices and then just adjust as per the detail there. So I'm going to select this model, this faces, and delete the faces like that. So Once that is done, I'll add a subdivision of 1, and then and the reason I've put this subdivision 1 is I just wanted this if you see the model has got the previous lines and it's only divided with this modifier. So if I just go here and then say apply this, so that will be now converted into proper polygons there. I'm going to press tab and 2, and then I'm going to select this, and then I press E for extrude, and then press Z and then move it. Again E, Z, move it. And the reason I've just did this is just I wanted to add the same detail on these two sides. So when I press 1, the model is in the front view. Now press 3, okay, and then slightly above I just wanted this detail to happen. So I press 3 and shift Z and select that faces, okay. So on both the sides, and then I'm going to apply this circle tool so that this is going to happen on the both sides, okay. Then press Alt T, extrude along the face normals, and then extrude it. Okay, I'm going to select the model and then select all the faces of one side and delete that faces, okay. Delete that faces. Oops. So I need to select all the faces of one side, delete, the faces, okay. And the reason I've deleted this on one side is I just wanted to model on this side and then duplicate on the other side. So we have this nice tool called mirror, and then whatever you work on this side, you get that on the opposite side here. So I select the model, hit tab 3, select that lines, and then use the scale tool and then scale it, okay. And I press 2 and then select that lines, and then press Ctrl B and then add that lines. I could sense this is a little bit not so round, so I'm going to select that and scale it. Now once that is done, okay, I press E, S, then Alt E and extrude that. So whatever I've done this side, I'm going to do on the other side also. So select that faces here, press Shift D and then use X and then move it a little bit. So select that faces again, E, extrude along the normal, and then I'm going to delete that lines, okay, delete, dissolve the edges, then select the faces, press E and S, E, grab it, E, S, E, M, M, merge to center. First of all, I need to press E, S, M, merge to center. So So I've got all that lines as per the requirement. Now I need to press Ctrl R for the loop cut and add loops. And now I'm adding one extra line there because inside there was I couldn't add, so I just added 3 lines here. That will also do. So I press so here, however, the vertices in the middle are getting merged. So I'm going to select the model and apply. Okay, and then go for the subdivision surface. I put subdivisions of 2 and then switch off this. Cool. So while I was doing this, if you see the size of this particular things are very small in my reference, and I can't do anything at this level, and it is very important when you are modeling a cylindrical forms like this. Okay, you need to plan that. That's very important part of certain models like this. Because if I scale this particular cylinder, it will affect the roundness of this cylinder. So while I was doing this, I should have maybe selected or added one level smooth up, and then I should have selected more number of faces to, like for example, if I'm selecting these 4 faces and apply the loop cut circle, it's giving me a size. Instead you need to select bit more number of faces, so that is scaling up the radius. And if you feel that it's becoming too big, then what's the other way is, when you are applying the subdivisions and then apply, then you get small faces and you can slightly grow up. So it's bit tricky to model these kind of things, but this is how it is going to happen. Okay, so I'm going to select this model. Okay, press 2 and then I'm going to slightly extrude. First I extrude it just to create that space. Okay, then press E, scale, then E and Z, then move it, then E, scale, move it. Okay, so that's how you can generally get this detail. EZ, so if you could see, it's going round there. So I'm going to press E, S and then M for merge, then that will merge there. So to create that nice dome like shape, I'm selecting this line, press Ctrl B, and then I'm going to add that bevel and also add some segments. Okay, I press Ctrl plus to select all the faces, and then deselect them. Okay, now the reason I've done that is I need to scale it. I can use the scale tool, scale it like that. Okay, so get that very similar shape. I can maybe scale it further and then move it if I'm expecting more longer shape there. Shift Z and then select the faces there. Okay, and adjust that roundness. Press E, Z, and then scale that, and then select the side faces, press Alt E, extrude along the normals, and you get this one again. I'm pressing E and Z. So that was going cross. So Alt E, extrude along normals. Okay. I go to the top view, select all the faces, and then I want to scale it. Actually, it's not a round shape, it's like some bolt, so I'll not do that anything there. I'll leave it like that. So a little bit down, E, Z. So it is as much as you wanted on the bottom side. Then again EZ, move it down for this length, and for this extrusion what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that, press Ctrl B and just drag it, and then I can reduce the subdivisions. I'm going to use the scale tool and then scale it. I'm going to extrude this, Alt T, extrude along normals, Control minus, Alt E, extrude along normals, and then scale it down. Okay. So I need such details here also. Meanwhile, I'm going to add the loops. I'm using the bevel tool and I'm just scaling it. I'm going to press Alt T for extrude along normals. E for the extrusion, S for scale, Z for the Z axis, and I'm extruding like that. Alt T for extrude along normals, S for scale, so that detail. So now I press Ctrl R for the loop cut, Ctrl R, Ctrl R. Okay, so I've ordered all the lines there. I think here also I've missed. So I'll just check with the model here. I'll switch off the wireframe and add the subdivision modifier. There you go. So I got fair enough model. So here I select the model and then select the faces. Okay, I've selected all the faces here and I'm pressing Alt T to extrude along normals and I just extrude it. Alt E, extrude along normals. Okay, I select the model, add the subdivision surface just to see how this divisions have turned out. Okay, very similarly I'm going to put on the bottom side also. The extrusion should be very subtle. It should not be very hard. So I'm going to select these edges, okay, and I'm going to use this tool called subdivide and add some subdivisions, okay. So press Alt T, extrude along normals, Alt E, extrude along normals, like that. Now press the tab, add the subdivisions of 2. So select the model, okay, press 2, select that loop, E for extrusion, S for scale. E, S. So I want a little bit more depth here because I could see some bolts sitting there. E and then Z. Okay. Then E, S. E, Z. Cool. Now press Ctrl R. Ctrl R. I'm going to select this and press Ctrl B for the bevel, and then Alt E, extrude along normals, then SZ, and then Ctrl R, Ctrl R. So press tab, add modifier subdivisions, and I'll put a subdivisions of 2. I know there are a bit of issues. The main issue was that cylinder, it's too small, and the reason I told you that we need to select more number of faces. So I could have done it very easily, but by going few steps back, add a subdivision, select more number of faces, and then circularize it. Generally when we are doing this model, a bit of trial and errors are required to get the right size, because you might be thinking that why not, I can't scale this. No, I can't do that, because if I scale this, the edges which are related to this cylinder, which are preserving that circular shape, might lose. So you need to go few steps back, then fix, and then come back. So the trick is going to be the same thing. The only difference is you might need more number of faces to select. That's it. And apart from that, the procedure is same, but the mistake was I have not selected sufficient number of faces to create a bigger circle in this side, and that's it. And I think you can good to go. And about the bolts, you can use array tool. I'll cover this in another video. I'll stop this. Thank you.